What are we looking for? Dogs.
What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Bird, and we back on Bird's Eye View with it. Like always, appreciate the love and support. Please continue to like, comment, and subscribe. Stop what you're doing. Smash the like button, smash subscribe button. Hop in the comment section, comment whatever you want. Of course, I'm dropping daily bangers day by day. You know we got news of the day coming out of Colorado, and we're gonna jump right into it, dog. So of course, we back with another recap with this Colorado football program. As always, shout out Well Off Media, Reach the People Media for providing us this phenomenal footage each and every day. Of course, we're coming off of our 34-23 victory over the Cincinnati Bearcats at home. It was a great performance, and the win was for NIKHIL Walker. Of course, he was recently diagnosed with lymphoma, and he'll start chemotherapy here. So big prayers out to NIKHIL. Of course, you know I'm directly impacted with cancer, man. I hate cancer, dog. Of course, we know my mom passed away from it. So big prayers up. Make sure y'all support him. I'm gonna drop his link to his NIL where y'all can support NIKHIL. Praying for you, dog. Now, of course, I dropped the Keys to Victory video like I do every week for this Colorado football program. Of course, starting on the offensive side of the football, I mentioned that we had to continue to factor in the run. We need to continue to target LeJontay Wester. We need to keep Shedeur Sanders upright. We need to control the time of possession, control the pace of the game. We couldn't let Dante Corleone wreak havoc. And we pretty much checked off all those boxes. Of course, when it starts at the top, we continue to factor in the run. Obviously, we had 32 design run plays to our running back. That's the most we had all season, 423 yards, and we had 2 rushing touchdowns. Of course, Augusta and Shedeur had a rushing touchdown. Isaiah, 22 carries, 91 yards. His longest was for 13 yards, averaged 4.1 yards per carry. He did exactly what we needed him to do Saturday night. I mean, he just always falls forward, dog. Like, he just does not get tackled in the backfield, man. Strong, tough runner of the football. Definitely love what he brought to the table Saturday night. Dylan Hayden, he had 10 carries, 436 yards. His longest was for 9 yards. He averaged 3.6 yards per carry as well. So we did exactly what we needed to do on the ground to control the clock and to help this offense continue to gel and be balanced. I mentioned, of course, we need to continue to target LeJontay. As we all know, against Arizona, he had 10 targets in that game for 8 catches, I believe 149 yards that LeJontay had. I mentioned we need to continue to target him because they were weak. They were like vulnerable. Since he was vulnerable covering the slot. And we targeted LeJontay 5 times. He caught all 5 passes for 56 yards. That catch on the sideline at about the 3-yard line was elite. And that was a dot by Shedeur Sanders. But that was a great catch there by LeJontay. Of course, Jimmy had 5 catches for 78 yards. Like I mentioned, they were going to struggle guarding the slot. That's why I figured that LeJontay and Jimmy would have a big game for us. And Jimmy did. I mean, Jimmy came out on fire. Of course, he had that touchdown that got called back due to the peace sign. I don't really agree with that. I've seen multiple times. Of course, we see it in the NFL all the time. They don't call it, which is cool. That's in the NFL. I know they're a little bit more leeway when it comes to stuff like that. But in college, we've seen it in college multiple times too. We literally seen it in college multiple times this season, and it wasn't called. But, you know, it is what it is. Jimmy still had a dominant performance. Of course, it took a touchdown away from him, took a possible 100-yard gain away from him as well too. But, of course, we'll live with the production that Jimmy gave us on Saturday night. I mentioned we needed to keep Shedeur Sanders upright. We only gave up 1 sack all night. Again, that's back-to-back weeks where we only had 1 sack. And really, that sack wasn't on the offensive line. That sack was mainly on Shedeur. Now, Tyler Brown actually had the highest pass blocking grade out of all of our offensive linemen. Now, 5 of our offensive linemen, 5 out of our 6 that mainly played, graded 82 or higher. Seat was at 78.5. But again, Tyler Brown actually led the way. Now, I know he didn't have as many snaps as some of the other guys, but, you know, Tyler Brown led the way at 85.3 on 16 pass blocking snaps. So that's a great improvement that he had from last week. Of course, the Arizona matchup last week, he led us in run blocking grade, but he was at the bottom for pass blocking. So this week, Tyler Brown kind of flipped that, and he was great in pass pro Saturday night. I mentioned we need to control the time of possession, control the pace of the game. Of course, I mentioned how CINCY had a ball control offense. They like to methodically drive the ball down the field, and we did that. We won time of possession 32 minutes and 42 seconds to 27 minutes and 18 seconds. That was a great job by our offense. We were 7 of 13 on third down, so over 50% on third down. Our offense definitely came to play, and they made plays when we needed to. Of course, I mentioned we can't let Dante Corleone wreak havoc, and they couldn't get home with 3, and they didn't. Like I mentioned in that Keys to Victory video, they're going to rush 3 all night. That's just what they do. They don't care what the situation is. They're just going to rush 3 all night and drop 8 consistently, and they stayed in it. Even though we tried to run them out it, and we did some things. Shedeur had his time to just stand back there and pick his poison. But we mentioned that we couldn't let him get home with 3, and they didn't. We basically shut him down. I mean, he was pretty much a non-factor. He didn't jump out at all. without question. And that's not saying that he's not talented and he's not going to go in the first or second round, because I still believe he'll be a top 3 round pick for sure. But that's kudos to our offensive line. It's kudos to Coach Lodeho. It's kudos to everything that we've brought to the table when it comes to this offensive line, continuing to gel and get better week by week. So at the end of the day, we did exactly what we need to do against one of the best defensive tackles in the country. Let's switch over to the defensive side of the football. I mentioned that we need to get to the ball and make tackles. They had some talented running backs that run very hard. Kiner was known for breaking tackles, and he ran hard. He definitely ran hard Saturday night. I know we missed 13 tackles, which is not terrible, but we would like to be a little bit better than that. I know we had games we missed more tackles than that. But Kiner basically did exactly what we thought he was going to do. He was going to run hard. He was going to break tackles. He was going to take multiple guys to get him down at times. But when we needed to make a play, we definitely made a play on defense. You saw Cincinnati Craig was able to get him down, a huge hit when they swung the pass out to him in the flats. And, of course, Cam came down like a heat-seeking missile and laid the boom there. So, we did exactly what we needed to do. We was able to stop Kiner when we definitely needed to. Of course, I mentioned we needed to create a turnover, especially if we wanted to dominate in this football game and somewhat run them off the field. We needed to create a turnover. Now, we did create a turnover with Preston Hodge. I did not agree with that pass interference call at all. It was actually great technique by Preston Hodge. I feel like not a lot of players use that technique in a sense, and in college game, it was more so a pro move, honestly. They tried to say that he wrapped his arm around his waist, but it really wasn't like that. It didn't impede the receiver at all. It was more so a way to swing him back inside to be able to cut the receiver off and pick the ball off. I didn't agree with the pass interference call, especially because they didn't call pass interference on the play with Will Shepherd in the corner and end zone, which was way more contact, way more egregious than what Preston Hodge did. Preston Hodge had good technique, but it is what it is. We were still able to get the job done. I mentioned no costly penalties. Of course, we only had 5 penalties for 68 yards. We know Shiloh got that unsportsmanlike conduct penalty on the sideline. Of course, Preston Hodge had the penalty, the pass interference penalty. And then most of our penalties were towards the end of the game with too many men on the field, which I hate to see us in the game like that, because we wanted to be dominant throughout the game for sure. So those penalties, of course, we can't have, and they're not on the players, to be honest with you. That's on the staff. And Coach Prime mentioned that as well. I mentioned that we need to continue to pressure the quarterback. We did get 1 sack. Cincinnati Craig did record a sack. We had a couple hurries. We hit the quarterback Sorsby a little bit too as well. I also mentioned that we need to control the quarterback run. He carried the ball 9 times for 48 yards. His longest was 21 yards. So for the most part, we did minimize him. Of course, we were able to stop him on 4th and 1, which was very key. That was a very key moment in that ball game. That 4th and 1 right before halftime, where they went for it at midfield and we stuffed them. And then 2 plays later, we were in the end zone and we scored. That was a Travis Hunter play where we were able to score right before halftime. So that stop in the second quarter, right before the half on 4th and 1, we were able to minimize the QB power. That was a huge play in that ball game. Special teams. I mentioned that we had 7 kickoffs last week and we didn't have any touchbacks, and I wanted to improve on that, and we did. We had 7 kickoffs again this week, and we had 2 touchbacks. So we were able to get better, and we also tackled well when we didn't get a touchback on kickoff and they actually were able to return the football. We tackled well. Brendan Gant, Colton Hood, they had big hits in special teams on kickoff. Salute to those guys. Mata continues to stay hot with his foot. He was 2 for 2, made all his extra points. He had that big 47-yard field goal in the 4th that put us up 2 scores. And that was key in that moment for sure, because it was a 1-possession ball game at that point. And then that stretched the lead to 11. At that point, it was 31-23. He made that field goal, put us up 34-23. And, of course, that was the final score of the ball game. Kudos to Mata. Let's switch over, man, to the top 10 PFF grades for our Colorado football players against the Cincinnati Bearcats. Of course, we're going to start with number 1, right? Travis Hunter at wide receiver, 86.1. He led us in catches with 9. He also led us in yards with 153. And he had 2 touchdowns last night, which now puts him at 8th. He now leads the Big 12 in receiving touchdowns with 8. It's a blessing, honestly, to be able to watch this young man play football. To be able to see things on a football field that we just never seen a single player be able to do. We really can't take this for granted. It's no telling when we will ever see another guy like Travis Hunter that can be a top 5 type wide receiver, top 5 type corner, the same person. It's just unreal to see what he does Saturday in and Saturday. Let's keep it rolling, man. Number 2, Shedeur Sanders, 80.1. He was 25 for 30, completed 83% of his passes, 323 yards, 2 touchdowns through the air. He also added another touchdown on the ground as well. If he is not in New York for the Heisman ceremony, throw the whole damn trophy away. I don't want to hear, and I know some people are talking about, oh, it's going to be tough because Trav is going to be there and they don't want 2 guys from the same team in New York. I don't give a damn about none of that. I want the best players in New York. Y'all let me know when there was a year where the best quarterback in the country, or everybody said he's going to be the number 1 quarterback taken, best quarterback in the nation, was not at the Heisman ceremony. For if we be honest, is people been saying the Heisman been a quarterback award for years because it's normally been going to the best quarterback in the country. That's just normally how it's been going. So you mean to tell me this year, Shedeur Sanders is the number 1 quarterback in the nation? You can argue with a wall. I ain't trying to hear it. Shedeur is the best quarterback in the country, and he's not even on the ballot to get votes. Come on, dog. What we doing here? Let's keep it rolling, man. Number 3, Isaiah Gustav, 78.8. He had the highest run grade. He was actually Week 9 leader in missed tackles forced with 10 in the country. He forced the most missed tackles in the nation for Week 9. As I mentioned, dog, he's always falling forward. It's a tough, strong runner of the football. Kudos to Isaiah Gustav, and we still got him for a couple years as well, too. It's going to be fun watching that young man continue to grow and develop. Let's keep it rolling, dog. Philip Houston at number 4, 77.9. He was our highest graded offensive lineman. He had the highest run blocking grade as well at 72.7. Philip Houston is starting to come around a little bit, man. The more he's starting to see the field, consistently play, we're starting to get some better work and better production out of Philip Houston, man. Shout out to him. Of course, number 5, Travis Hunter again. Now this time at corner, he was our highest graded defensive player. He was our highest graded offensive player, and he was our highest graded defensive player. He had 2 tackles on defense, 4 PBUs. He now leads the Big 12 with 7 PBUs. Think about this. This young man is in a Power 4 conference. He now leads the conference in receiving touchdowns with 8. And he also leads it in PBUs with 7. That is insane, dog. Like, just really think about that. This is a Power 4 conference we're talking about, and he leads it in receiving touchdowns and PBUs. That is unheard of. If you heard of anybody doing anything like that, please let me know. That's almost equivalent to like CINCY leading the Mountain West in rushing yards, and then also leading the Mountain West in tackles. Like, it's crazy, right? So it's the same thing for a receiver that plays DB or a DB that plays receiver, however you want to spin it with Travis Hunter. He leads the conference, dog, in 2 of the major categories on both sides of the ball. That's unbelievable, man. Targeted 6 times. Trav only gave up 2 catches for 9 yards. I mean, he's phenomenal. He's phenomenal, and for me, hello, Heisman. Let's keep it rolling. DJ McKinney at 75.4. Highest tackle rate on the team at 78.2. Second highest coverage grade. He had 4 tackles, 1 forced fumble at PBU. He had the 5th highest run grade as well with 63.9. He was targeted 5 times, only gave up 2 catches for 19 yards. DJ McKinney was phenomenal Saturday night. LeJontay Wester, 71.0. He had 5 catches for 56 yards. Sorry about that. 5 catches for 56 yards. He just continues to get open. I mean, he's always open. He's so elite. He's so explosive in and out of his breaks. Congrats to him on receiving the number 1 jersey. I know Coach Prime presented that to him after the game. He's been working hard. He's been wanting that number. Of course, that was his number at FAU. So kudos to LeJontay Wester. He'll be rocking number 1 for the rest of the season. Let's keep it rolling. Jimmy Horn at 68.9, had 5 catches, 78 yards. Of course, he was explosive. That man was sliding Saturday night, dog. I mean, he had an extra gear. You can tell he was coming in with a little chip on his shoulder, wanted to get back to his high productive type ways, and he did that for sure Saturday night. Coming in at number 9, we got Sam Okunlola, 68.7, had the 2nd highest run defensive grade at 67.4, had the 4th highest tackle grade. He also had the 3rd highest pass rushing grade as well, finished with 3 tackles. Sam continues to exactly what we needed him to do. That was a great pickup to get out of the transfer portal. All these guys that we got out of the portal, we hit on every last one of these guys. And finishing out number 10, of course, is NIKHIL Green, 68.2. He tied for 2nd in tackles with 6. He had 2 tackles for loss. He also had a PBU. He was the 5th highest coverage grade as well. He now leads our team in tackles for loss. I believe he has 8. I want to say he has 8. Let me check that and make sure, though. Actually, he has 7. So he now leads our team with those 7 tackles for loss. BJ Green is 2nd with 6 And of course, NIKHIL now ranks, he's tied for 5th in the Big 12 in tackles for loss. He's doing some phenomenal things. Now, when you look at our overall team, when you look at the PFF, I mean, we jumped a lot of spots. We're now the #1 overall team in the Big 12, according to PFF, at 90.3, which ranks 25th nationally. We're the only team in the Big 12 at 90. We're second in offense. Our offensive grade is 82.2, so we're second in the Big 12 offense via PFF. That's number 18 nationally. We have the #1 passing unit in the Big 12 at 90.2. We're way ahead of the pack there in the Big 12, and we're ranked number 4 in the country in that category. #1 in receiving, 78.9. That ranks 12th nationally. We're number 4 overall defense, 85.4. That's top 50 in the country. We're at 49. We have the #4 run defensive grade in the Big 12 at 81.9. We have the #5 pass rushing grade at 67 flat. We have the #3 coverage grade at 89.7. That ranks 23rd in the country. Of course, we still lead the Big 12 in sacks with 22. We're still second with fumble recoveries. We still have the #1 offensive efficiency in the Big 12. Shadir still leads the conference in completions with 221. He still leads the completion percentage with 73.3. He's still second in yards with 2,591. Obviously, he's still first in touchdowns with 21, and he still has the highest efficiency with 165. Travis leads the Big 12 in catches with 60, with receiving touchdowns with 8, in receptions per game with 7.5, in PBUs with 7, and in passes defended he has 9, which is second in the conference. When you find a player doing something like that ever, please let me know. So, of course, we got the job done. Now, I will say, I did not like how we finished that ball game. I did not like how complacent we got on offense, how we took the foot off the gas. We really could have blew that Cincinnati team out for sure. I feel like we got a little complacent and was playing more so not to lose than playing to win. And I don't like the penalties, all the costly penalties that we had towards the end of the game. We're better than that, and Coach Prime mentioned that we're better than that, and we got to finish better. And I know we will. We're going to definitely make the adjustments without question. Like I said, I know the coaching staff is going to get these guys ready and more prepared coming off the bye week. Of course, we got a bye week this week, and then we go to Texas Tech. So, of course, the last time we came off a bye week, we ended up losing to Kansas State. So I know this time is going to be a lot different, and I'm looking forward for a dominant performance coming up against that Texas Tech program who does a lot of things through the air like they are. I mean, they're just known for that. They've been, ever since I've been watching college football forever, 20 years, they've been throwing the football. They've been airing it out, throwing the ball 50 times a game. So that's just their MO. That's just what they do. So, of course, I'll bring you guys the keys to victory for that next week for sure. But kudos to Coach Prime, the entire football staff, all the players, dog. We going bowling, dog. I mean, first time since 2016, I believe. Peggy is going to a bowl game. Of course, we want to make sure that she goes to a really, really nice bowl game, preferably a New Year's 6 bowl. But not going to keep you long. Just want to bring you guys a phenomenal update. Please continue to like, comment, and subscribe. You know what time it is, dog. Bird's eye view, man.